Hey everybody, Gabe Soares here from Soares Tactics. So I'm going to talk about an interesting topic today. It's keeping your gun hand clear. Now, I first talked about this in a post that I did on Patreon that got started because there was some discussion about road rage and carjacking and all that sort of thing. And one of the topics of discussion is don't get out of the car after something like this has happened with your hands full of crap. Okay, now the idea is okay. So, I gave some ideas and thoughts on avoiding the whole road rage thing because it's like, do we want to get in a gunfight over somebody changing lanes? Anyway, if you're interested, read the article. I think it was pretty important. A lot of good responses from that. But one of the things I said is when you've had one of these road conflicts, let's say, you manage to kind of get away and just go on with your life. When you get to your final destination, just kind of keep a weather eye out because, these people that are given to emotional outbursts and so on, they may not just kind of forgive and forget. And it wouldn't be the first time that somebody has followed you to your, or followed the intended victim to their final destination and then continued the discussion. So you get your destination, keep a weather eye out, take a look, make sure that you're cool. Then and only then, carry on with what your plan is. Now, one of the things that was said is don't get out of the car with your hands full of crap. Okay? I know, but you're gonna do it anyway. Okay? I know that you're gonna do it anyway because if you don't get out of the car and take all of the groceries, 10 bags in one hand, 10 bags in the other, and get to your front door, you have to forfeit your man card for the day. I know that's true. I do it. I just went to Sprouts and I came back and I got home and I thought, oh, you know what? Yeah, we were talking about this just the other day, weren't we? But I still, I took a look around. I'm up here in the high country. Nobody's, going to do anything, but still, I grabbed up, everything in one trip and brought it into the house, okay? I know you're going to do it. So what I want you to do is in your training sessions, I want you to get some props, just get like a box like this. This is some ammo that got delivered, a month ago or so. I just went through all of it. It's an empty box, but it's indicative of something you might have. Get something like this too. This is a Sprouts bag. I got some protein powder in here that I bought today. Just things with different characteristics. All right, and bring them to your training session and work with them. Now, your default should be to let gravity solve the problem for you. Okay, let gravity solve the problem for you. It's very simple. It's something you practice. That way, when you let gravity solve the problem for you, you continue with your draw as if nothing had changed, right? Because this is what you practice. And what you want to do is you want to be able to get the gun into the fight. Now, we're looking at this problem as a gun problem, meaning that we want to solve this with a firearm, okay? I'm 65 years old. I'm not going to roll on the ground with a jiu-jitsu guy or some dude that weighs 300 pounds, has been lifting weights in prison for the last 10 years. Sorry, I'm not going to do that. Somebody like that threatens me, they're going to get blasted. Period. End of story. Full stop. Okay? So I'm not going to worry about throwing things at his face or any of this other kind of stuff. It's going to be a gun problem. Now, is there a place for launching this at an adversary? Absolutely there is. But that is a special circumstance. All right? It's a special circumstance. For that to work, you got to be just outside of arm's reach, maybe in kicking range, and then this will work. And then as you do that, you launch and you move off the X, okay, as you draw. But I don't want you to get fixated in your mind that you're going to launch what you have in your hands at the adversary at all times, because that's a mistake. What happens is that you start having a divided mind where your mind wants to do one thing, but it's got to do this other thing first. And what that does, guys, is it costs you time, okay? Now, I'm not a big time fanatic, but we don't want to be slow and we don't want to take the long way around the barn if we can avoid it, all right? So like I said, your default, excluding special circumstances like this, but this one is probably not the kind that we're talking about necessarily, okay? It might be, but that's a whole other animal. Outside of this range that we're talking about, your default, if you're presented with a threat, is let this drop and continue with your draw as you normally do, okay? The other factor is this. Not everything is going to be an empty cardboard box. If this has some weight to it, like when it came with 1,000 rounds of Purvey Partisan 9mm, okay, I'm not going to launch that at anybody, okay, because it's heavy. And the minute I throw it away, the gravity's going to grab onto it, and it's going to hit the deck. So it's not a weapon. Okay, the second thing is this, something like this, okay, I just, like I said, I was just at Sprouts, I got some stuff, okay. I'm not going to launch this at anyone because the point at which I'm holding it creates a swinging kind of a situation. Again, you're not going to knock anybody out by hitting him in the head with a protein, a protein thing and some beef jerky and stuff like that. So again, with this, okay, if I'm carrying this, my default is going to be, okay, I see a problem, gravity takes care of it, I present the pistol, all right? That is going to be the easiest way to do it. Again, if I'm trying to like launch it to somebody or something, I've got to wind up and launch it because of the characteristics of this particular package. All right, so next time you go to your training sessions, whether it's dry or live, bring some props. Bring a bottle of water. Bring an empty cardboard box. Bring a bag from the grocery store and just put some stuff in it just to give it some weight, and then test yourself and practice. Okay, which is the simplest, most direct way to attain my objective, which is to put 3 or 4 rounds in that particular target. Okay, and again, my premise, and I want you to test for yourself, is going to be that outside of this particular realm right here, which is a special circumstance, you're going to be better served by just opening your hand, letting gravity take control, and continuing with your draw as you normally do. Okay? Give it a try, and let me know what you find.